Welcome to another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast, featuring the Almighty B Live, the Money Man Scottie D, and your host, the head of creative, Eddy Kool. And without any further ado, let's give it up for the Sports Bros. Hey, what's going on, world? This be your boy, Eddy Kool, a.k.a. the HOC, and you are now tuned in to episode 102 of the Sports Bros Podcast. That's right. It's 100 plus 2 more, which equals 102. And we got a whole lot to talk about on this episode because there's a whole lot that went on during this week in the world of sports. So guess what? Enough of my incoherent rambling. It's time for me to introduce my co-host. Leading off, the Almighty B Live.
What's happening? What's going on in the world today? That question never gets old because there's always a different answer all the time. There's going to be some ridiculousness that's going to go on this podcast, on this episode. And I'm here for it. I don't know about the other guy. He already asked me to behave today, and that's absolutely not happening. So go ahead and introduce the other guy. Yes, sir.
The Sports Bros Podcast and behaving, something about that don't go together. Does not go together. But I know it does go together. The pride of Washington, Pennsylvania, none other than the Money Man Scottie D.
Woo! What a weekend. March Madness, baby. It was on fire this weekend. And a new heavyweight champion of the world in the UFC. I'm ready to talk some sports. Let's lay it on me here, Eddy Kool. Let's do it, baby.
All right, fellas, let's go ahead and get into it, shall we? As the Money Man Scottie D said. All right, so this weekend, of course, the Elite Eight has been set. It is in stone as we speak. Right now, we have a live game because, of course, we record on Monday to put out on Tuesday, between Oregon State and Houston, if I'm correct. Yes. All
yes.
Right. And according to Scottie D, from what he said before we hit the record button, Houston is laying the smackdown on the the Beavers of Oregon State. Correction, the Beavers of Oregon State. So we have that game going on now. And then later tonight, we'll have Arkansas and Baylor. And then tomorrow, we will have USC and the buzzsaw that is the Gonzaga Bulldogs. And, of course, UCLA and my pick to win it all, according to the brackets, the Wolverines of Michigan. Yes, the Michigan Wolverines. Fellas, I'm going to ask you a question. But B-Live, I'll start with you first. Which is the most intriguing game during the Elite Eight?
Well, to me, there's something, every one of them. How do you pick one?
True, that's true.
Man, I can tell you right now, UCLA, really? I'm so intrigued with them right now because they were a play-in game. They had to play an extra game, and now they're in the Elite Eight. And it just seems like a lot of things are clicking for them right now. It's going to be very, very, very intriguing. And I'm hoping that UCLA pulls off the win against Michigan because Eddy Kool picked Michigan to win it all, and I need him to lose because my bracket is suffering terribly right now. So go Bruins. Yes, go Bruins. Gotta have it. Let's get it.
Boo. Scottie D, which games intrigue you during the Elite Eight?
That's actually the one I was going to say, just because UCLA, it has gotten so hot. And we just talked last week about VCU being the only team that's been in the position that UCLA is currently in, a first four team with a chance to get to the final four team, to get to the final four. VCU last week, remember we talked about that in our I Call BS segment, and they have an opportunity and they look good. So that is, to me, an intriguing matchup because on the other hand, you have Juwan Howard, a guy who played in 2 Final Fours with Michigan, get a chance to lead them back to the Final Four. I actually think that they're going to do it. I think they're going to finally cool Michigan off. Arkansas and Baylor's a good one. That's by the time the podcast comes out, that game will be complete. But as we're talking about it, that's going to be coming on later on tonight. And Baylor's looked strong. I think they're going to be too much for Arkansas to handle. And Gonzaga just looks like they haven't even really been challenged at this point. So that'll be interesting to see if USC can put up a fight with them. Again, the Pac-12 is still hanging in there as of the recording. The game of those that I'm most interested in, though, is Michigan and UCLA. And I do think Michigan's going to hold on and get through them.
Yep, I am intrigued with the Michigan and UCLA too, because I also have vested interests. As B-Live mentioned, at the last time I checked, I think I'm number one.
Nobody cares about it.
Nobody cares.
That's not even necessary. Let's move on.
I think we need a recount.
There's nothing to see here.
Don't forget the fantasy football is still under protest as well. So I think this could be under protest. Our fantasy football is under protest by me. We still have to review all that. We'll get to that eventually. This, I don't know. Seems like some fishy going on here.
Well, let's go ahead and update the Sports Bros brackets.
There you go, B-Live. Give us the update to
right
the
now,
Sports Bros bracket bandits, please and thank you.
All right, and I'll go bottom to top, and just because that's how I feel like doing things. Sitting in 8th place right now, we have Scotty Heineman with 350 points. Tied for 6th place, we have Mr. Marcus 81, and then in 4th place we have Rodney Bellamy. 3rd place we have Terrible Pete Talansky. In 2nd place, we have the money man, Scottie D. And in 1st place, all right. Yeah.
Yep, you're in 2nd place.
Scottie D, you are in 2nd place.
With no Final Four teams. That's incredible. I got one team. I got Gonzaga. That's it.
B-Live, who was the 1st place again?
What had happened was...
Whoa. Wait a minute. What's the point difference there from 1st and 2nd?
There is a 50-point difference between 1st and 2nd place.
So conceivably, Michigan loses, Gonzaga wins the whole thing. 1st place can still be overtaken.
Oh, absolutely.
Stay tuned.
I need Baylor to win it all. But here's where Scottie D is sitting right now, because there's 3 people in this league that pick Gonzaga to win it all. So, and right now with the max points that are available, the best bracket with the max points available is Rodney Hot Rod. His bracket right now as it sits can get a maximum of 1,320 points. Eddy Kool can get 1,310. Money Man can only get 1,020. So you struggle. So there's a lot of moving and shaking that could be done, and you notice I didn't mention mine at all because
it's time we stop using the Dominion voting system here for this for our polls. We keep using Dominion, and I keep getting screwed on this. Anyway,
it's either that or be a liar like Derek Jackson. Moving right along to the next.
No, you did. You did.
Yeah, I had to jug, jab. Kids, keep it real. It does not pay to be a fraud at that and profit off of it. It's not good for business. You don't see us right claiming to be experts and know it all when it comes to sports. But in the words of the Almighty B-Live, I digress. And getting right back on track, as Scottie D mentioned earlier, in the world of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC, and new heavyweight champion is the Predator, Francis Ngannou, as he defeats Stipe Miocic in the 2nd round, 52 seconds in the 2nd round, TKO/KO. And with that being said, Scottie D, what is next for the Predator, Francis Ngannou?
Well, funny you should ask, because in February, Dana White said Jon Jones is getting the winner of this fight. And then on fight night, Jon Jones tweets out, "Show me the money." So Now there's already tension between Dana White and Jon Jones. They've had money battles before. So I think we're going to be in for a battle with this going forward. I don't think it's a done deal that Francis Ngannou fights Jon Jones next. Jon Jones is being criticized for saying that, and people are saying he's already scared of fighting Ngannou. And Jones said, "Why would I be scared? I knew who was fighting. I've already put on all this weight to be a heavyweight. I just want to get paid what I'm worth." Blah, blah, blah. This is going to be a battle between those two. Having said that, just to go back to what we saw on Saturday night, Ngannou looked fantastic. I mean, Stipe beat this guy back in 2018. But to me, Stipe looked in this fight like he was too small to be in there. Did you guys see these two up against each other in the cage at all? Did you guys see the fight or the highlights anyway?
I wound up catching the highlights, and I was like, Stipe looks a little.
Yeah,
he was getting manhandled. He was getting manhandled.
Well, that's the thing. He lost weight. He never carried around body fat, but he lost some weight against when he fought prior to Cormier's third fight against him. But, I went back and watched the first fight between those two again, Ngannou and Stipe. And Stipe was a little bit bigger. His body was a little bit more filled out, and he had a little bit more muscle. But even in that one, Ngannou was, the bigger, stronger guy. But guys, when you see a guy that's that big, just a knockout machine, whether it's boxing or UFC, what is the great equalizer when it comes to that? A guy dealing with a guy with that kind of power. It's fatigue. Mm-hmm. It's fatigue. That's wearing a guy out. And after the first round the other night, Stipe was unable to take Ngannou down. And to me, it looked like he didn't have the power that he had in the first fight. And Ngannou didn't gas himself out. In the first fight, Ngannou did the old adrenaline dump. He went hard in the first round. And by the end of the first round, he was done. And Stipe just leaned on him for 4 rounds and beat him up with ground and pound. That didn't happen in the first round of this fight. And Stipe, I don't think, had the same kind of strength to be able to deal with that. And it was a smaller cage, so the speed advantage wasn't a factor. But at the end of the first round, I think Stipe's corner made a mistake. When I was watching it live, I was listening to what his corner, they rotate corners, between rounds. And his corner said, you need more offense. And I think that was a mistake, because immediately I'm thinking, you have to see this guy's not fatigued yet. That's when you want to start put out more offense. To me, he had to be successful in this fight. I think he needed to stay away from this guy and try to tire him out for a couple rounds and do the same thing that he did in the first fight. And that was going to be his advantage, was his cardio. But Ngannou was patient. And when he did catch him, oh man, he caught him good. Oh, did you see him fall down and his leg buckled underneath him? And his leg flopped.
That's bad.
That was scary. Yeah. And Ngannou in 2018 was not ready to be the champion, but he learned. He was patient the other night. He didn't do the adrenaline dump. He didn't go all in. He picked and chose his spots. And whenever it was open, man, he touched him, and boom, that was it. So new heavyweight champion of the world. It's much deserved. I think it was only a matter of time before this was going to happen. You got a young, hungry fighter like Ngannou with just crazy power and the perfect mindset. What'd you see, B-Live?
And my sentiments exactly. That is exactly what you just explained. Is exactly what I saw. I predicted that Ngannou would end up being the champion. I just think that over the course, he took that loss and he learned from it. He built upon that, and he was much more disciplined this fight. And then it's just you still have that power. So he was like, you know what? Nope. Take my time. I'm gonna throw that jab a couple times. And then, man, when he hit him, boy.
Well, Stipe also at one point in that second round, the second round when he got knocked out, he had he threw a good shot and connected on it, and I think that made him be sloppy, because in the first fight when he did that, it hurt Ngannou. He backed him up on his heels a little bit, but again, I don't think he had quite the power, and Ngannou wasn't tired. So Stipe made the mistake, listened to his corner, going for more offense. And when he went for that second punch, boom, right, took a left right on the chin. It was nighty-night time. Hey, Stipe was a good champion, man, but
oh yeah,
as time evolves and the next fighters start catching up to the previous guys, I don't think he'll be champion again. I think he had a good reign, 5 years or whatever it was, but I think his best days are now behind him. It's Ngannou's title for a while, I think. Although, hey, who knows if he actually does get the Jon Jones fight? Jones is a smart fighter, so we'll see how that shakes out. God, I want to see that fight though. I really do.
Please get it together. Just please, we need. I think everybody needs that fight.
Yeah,
everybody needs that fight, man.
We all need it
because at this point, I kind of feel like Jon Jones is the heel, and people are behind Ngannou. They want to see Jon Jones get knocked out because the only loss he has on his record is a DQ, and through time, I mean, Jones has just rubbed people the wrong way. And after the other night, I think people would be chomping at the bit to watch Francis Ngannou knock Jon Jones on his tail.
Yep. Dana White, you know what you got to do, player.
Got to pay him.
That man the money so we can get the fight that we've all been waiting for because we want it, we need it, and we got to have it. Fellas, guess what's coming up on Thursday?
On Thursday, what's happening Thursday?
The return of Major League Baseball. We had a lot of spring training games going on, but guess what? If I'm understanding this thing right, we're going to get a full 162 game schedule this season.
I believe so.
Oh, we about to get a whole full schedule with no interruptions or anything like that. So so guess what? It's that time again for some good old Major League Baseball. And you know what that means? Across the country, that means it's getting warm. I can see the green grass in my front yard. I got to see no more snow on my lawn. It's going to start to warm up a little bit. Scottie D, we live in the same region in B-Life. The grass is evergreen there in the Carolinas any damn way. So, with that being said, it's time to make a little predictions and prognostications. Scottie D, what you got for this upcoming baseball season?
Well, I'm just going to kind of throw out some things I'm interested in watching this year. Okay. And one is that Mike Trout of the Angels this is going to be his 11th year now. I think he's been in for 10 years and he has never won a playoff series. They haven't even been in the playoffs, the Angels, since 2014. And this guy deserves better because he's pretty much the generational baseball player right now of our time. And I have to admit, I have not watched him like I should be watching him. And, typically when you miss players like that, you catch them in the postseason. Like West Coast players, East Coast people see them more in the postseason. We haven't seen that. So I'm going to make it a point to watch Mike Trout this year. They added some starting pitching. They added a closer. Last year they brought in Anthony Rendon. Shohei Ohtani has not panned out for them too much yet, but they did add Jose Iglesias at shortstop, a catcher. So I'm anxious to see if that translates. They were a little bit busy. The team I'm still going. Last year I picked Yankees and Dodgers in the World Series. I think I'm going Yankees again, but I think I'm going to go with the Braves to come out of the National League. The Braves have really good starting pitching. I know you guys like the Braves. They had was it Soroka tore his Achilles last year, and they should have him back. Mm-hmm. They added Charlie Morton. I think the Braves are going to be a good team to watch. And the Dodgers haven't lost anything. Not really, but it's just so hard to repeat. I mean, they were in the postseason, a dozen years in a row, seemingly, and that was the first time they actually won the World Series. So, I don't know. Do they have the mindset now that they're over the hump, they're going to do it again? The Padres are supposedly the team to watch, but they added Yu Darvish and Blake Snell. Is that enough? Because they got owned by the Dodgers in the postseason. I don't know if that's enough, but I still think the Dodgers are the team to beat. But I think the Braves can do it. Over to you guys. What do you say here?
Well, I mean, you talk so much in this.
I know. I got hyped up about baseball. I'm sorry.
I mean, and I
cut myself off.
The thing about it is, you literally took every point that I was going to make. I mean, it would almost be repeat exactly what I think.
The Mike Trout thing you were going to talk about Mike Trout.
I wasn't going to talk about Mike Trout, but I was going to talk about the Dodgers, the Braves, the Padres being the team to watch. I actually was going to say that because I agree with you. And that's a very rare moment. For those that are watching and listening, that is a very rare moment that me and Scottie D agree. I agree with him in the National League. I still think that, unfortunately, when I say I love my Atlanta Braves, if I'm going to be unbiased, the Dodgers won it, and they got better in the offseason. I'm like, how? First of all, where is all this money coming from?
Magic Johnson.
Golly.
It's coming from somewhere. It is coming from somewhere.
But, yeah, I'm going to say this, and this is a joke, but I think the Boston Red Sox are going to make some moves because they got LeBron James as a part owner of the Boston Red Sox.
They have too far to go to contend.
Yeah, I know.
I know our New England listeners and viewers are going to kill us, but
they got way too much to go.
Are you going Yankees? We going Yankees?
I mean,
the Yankees, they obviously, Garrett Cole's the big money guy. They added Corey Kluber, added Jameson Taillon. They're getting Domingo Herman back after he had the domestic violence. He had to sit out all of last year. So their pitching, in theory, should be better. I don't know.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to defer my my American League pick to next week because I don't know enough about the American League. I followed a lot of stuff for the National League because, between the Braves, the Dodgers, the Padres, the moves that they made, and on top of that, the National League East division is by far the toughest division in baseball right now. Like, all the teams made major moves this offseason. So it's going to be a dogfight just to get out of the East, but I definitely picked the Braves. And so I followed a lot of that. I couldn't tell you what happened with some of the American League teams. I know somehow, some way, the Astros cheated again. That's about it.
They're going to be a factor again. Yeah, they're going to be a factor again. I think they lost Springer. He went to Toronto, but it seemed like Michael Brantley was also going there, and he ended up back with the Astros. But to your point about the National League East, I think it's conceivable that the two wild cards could both come from that division.
Absolutely.
It's possible. I know that the Padres Dodgers thing's got, needs to be settled out west, but the Mets added Francisco Lindor, and that's not to be, you can't gloss over a pickup like that. And the Nationals made some moves. They got Josh Bell, but they also got, Josh Bell and Kyle Schwarber. To me, it seems like good moves on paper, but I've seen both of them falter the plate. I like the Mets better, I think, as a wild card, and the Padres as a wild card, because I still think the Dodgers, over the long haul are the team to beat. But nobody's picking the Pirates.
Of course not.
That would be you, sir. That would be you. That's your team, Scott.
Have they decided, like, they're individual players in baseball that make more money than the Pirates spend on their entire team?
That is true.
Fernando
Tatis, he makes more money than the whole Pirates organization.
Payroll. How is that even a thing? Come on,
Bryce Harper.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you, though, they might have the Rookie of the Year candidate in the National League this year, Brian Hayes. Charlie Hayes' son. He came up in September last year. It was only 24 games, but he batted .376, had 5 home runs. So he's a guy to watch. And then as far as like the MVP thing, Acuna's got to be in the conversation this year. Betts, Tatis Jr., Juan Soto. There are some heavyweights coming out this year. It's gonna be fun to watch a whole full season of baseball. I know that much.
Yes, it'll be fun to watch a whole full season of baseball, and hopefully hopefully I can find my way to maybe an Indians game, or maybe take that trip back home and go to a Braves game, or maybe even come out your way, Scottie D, and watch your Pirates try not to lay a goose egg.
Okay. If you're spending any money to go, if you're going to spend money, you're going to go see the Pirates. No.
At this point, you're going to see the stadium.
Yeah, the stadium and the river that's right by it. Yeah, I'm here for the ambiance. Who's playing? Yeah, I'm here for the ambiance and the hot dogs. I hear the beer's pretty good too. Yeah,
take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd.
Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. That's right. Baseball is back. Let's see. I am rolling with the Braves as well too. The Braves are going to be real tough this year because they got everybody coming back. And then, as Scottie D said, the Dodgers, they are the team to beat. But a team that's really going to have a lot of people, put a lot of people on notice, are the San Diego Padres, with Tatis Jr. getting a bunch of money, and they got everybody coming back, and they look real good. But first, they got to get the hell out of the NL West to begin with. And over in the National League, I need Judge and I need Stanton to be healthy.
Yes, please.
I need them to be healthy. If they're healthy, they're my pick coming out of the American League. And,
they're already off to a bad start with injuries now. Luke Voigt's already out with the torn meniscus till June.
Jesus.
And he led the league in home runs last year. I mean, it was a short season, but he had the most home runs in that season. So the injuries have already started for the Yanks.
Yeah, piling up. Yeah, you also can't count out the Astros as well too. Them cheating sons of you know what's, and then also the Twins, fellas. Let's not sleep on the Minnesota Twins. Yeah, before not last season, but the season before, they were steamrolling over everybody. They're playing some real good baseball, and a guy that's really gonna have a good season this year, Juan Soto of the Washington Nationals. He'll do his little Soto shuffle. I saw on the 4-letter network. I'm like, this guy's pretty cool. He's pretty charismatic and a very, very, very smart hitter. So, fellas, Thursday, game number 1 of 162.
I love opening day. Question, Scottie D, because you know a little bit better than me. How did none of us mention the Tampa Bay Rays?
What I had in my notes there is about them. The only thing I really am they got hot at the end of the year. They had some trouble managing because Blake Snell was their guy on the mound about to win Game 7, and now he's in San Diego. But they might have the best shot at the American League Rookie of the Year. That's Randy Rosarena, who looked like a world beater in the postseason last year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They always seem to get left out of the conversation. But, yeah, I mean, they should be right there again, you would think. We'll see.
Yep,
we shall see.
Yep, and we shall see. Well, we also cannot leave the NFL out of this week's news as well, too, on the top of the order. That's our name for this opening segment of the podcast. We call it the top of the order. We had a trade of draft picks. There's a whole lot going on. You got 3 teams involving the 49ers, the Dolphins, and also the Philadelphia Eagles. So pay attention. Here's what's going on. So if I stutter or stammer, just bear with me, please. Here we go. The 49ers trade the 12th pick, a 2022 third-round pick as a compensatory pick, and first-round picks in 2022 and 2023 in exchange for this year's Dolphins' 3rd overall pick in the draft. Miami, they get a 2021 6th-round overall pick and 156th 5th-round pick from the Eagles in exchange for the 12th pick, the 123rd pick, and a 2022 first-round pick.
Quiz on that later. On that later. We'll quiz you on that later.
Yeah, I'm about out of breath. I'm over here sweating. All right, and with that being said, B-Log, I'm gonna let you lead off with this one. Which of these 3 teams will benefit from the trades, and who gave up too damn much?
I'm gonna say, out of all of this, the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins. I think they're gonna they moved up. I think they moved up, and they're gonna grab a wide receiver. They're gonna grab a top wide receiver. They're gonna give Tua a very solid weapon, and I think they're gonna do the little Alabama to Alabama connection and get Jalen Waddle. I think that's what that move was to grab a top-notch wide receiver, give him a weapon. Now, who moves up to get a wide receiver? I don't know, but I think that Jalen Waddle and Jamar Chase, I think they're otherworldly talent. I think they're going to have great NFL careers. I think that it's those two especially. What's my dude? Devontae. He won the Heisman.
Devontae Smith.
Devontae Smith. He won the Heisman. He's up there as well. I think just Waddle and Chase. I think Miami's going to benefit best because Miami was already a 10-win team. They don't lose anything on the defensive end. They pick up a top-notch wide receiver. I think Miami challenges Buffalo with this move in the AFC East. Oh yeah, let me go and put this out there real quick. Screw you, San Francisco, for moving up and making those picks that you got to give up the whole world and Partridge in the Pear Tree just move up a couple of spots because y'all don't believe in Jimmy G anymore. Now my Panthers are sitting here. Well, what do we do now, George? What do we do? Because I mean, we're not gonna give up all of that just to move up in the draft. Only thing that we would do in that, I don't even know that's still on the table anymore. Don't really even want to mention it, but it's still Deshaun Watson. But I really don't want to even get into that. But yeah, Miami, I think they stand the best to improve after this movement.
All right, Scottie D, who benefited and who got hosed?
I think Miami, I like what they did because the top three are all going to be quarterbacks. They've decided Tua is their quarterback. They weren't going to draft a quarterback. But at the same time, they didn't want to get left out in the cold, moving all the way back to 12. So they moved back up to 6. And you know why they moved back up there? Because they didn't want to miss out on the maybe highest tight end prospect that one can find. And that is Kyle Pitts coming out of Florida. That's who Miami's taking. That's a big target that Tua's going to need. They actually have a couple good receivers. They just signed one from what's the guy from Fuller, right? Didn't they just sign Will Fuller?
Yeah, they
Texans.
They signed Will Fuller, but he got to sit down for a few games.
He's out for 6 weeks if I'm not mistaken.
Hasn't he already served a couple of those games
though? No. Well, actually, he got injured. I think he got injured towards the end of the season, and he was already out. And I think the report broke that he was using PEDs, and then I guess going into next season he may have to sit because he was
okay.
Hurt,
so we'll assume he's sitting a couple games anyway. But they had a couple other good receivers I thought last year. I don't think that's as much of a need. But if you can get this guy is supposed to be a can't miss prospect coming out, a big tight end like that, who's like the most athletic looking tight end prospect we've ever seen. I think that's the reason they wanted to get back up there, to not miss out on the chance for that guy. So I like what they've stockpiled a lot of picks the last couple of years. That's how you build an organization. But it's not going to matter if they keep stockpiling picks and hitting on them all if their quarterback ends up being a bust. That's going to be the big key, is what we need to see more from Tua next year. He didn't overly impress. I mean, I know it was a kind of a weird season and he only got a few games in at the end, but they're going in on him because they traded out of there and they let old Fitzmagic go up to the Washington football team. But I'm not so sure San Francisco is counting on Jimmy G. I still think he's going to head to the Patriots. I still think there's a chance of that happening, or of the Patriots moving up maybe into Atlanta spot at 4 and trying to get a quarterback there. So we got a month to see how that shakes out.
Here's my thing. I just want to know, when are the 49ers going to stop this game with Jimmy Garoppolo? Because apparently Jimmy Garoppolo, he just ain't it.
I think they stopped the game. I think that's why they made the deal.
He just ain't it. It's a classic case of, hey, man, everybody know you ain't good but you. You know what I'm saying? This should have to be like that.
But maybe he's just in the wrong system, and maybe he would be good if he went back to New England.
Yeah.
That's what they're counting on with Carson Wentz in Indianapolis, that he's going back to the coach that helped them be successful. So be interesting to see how that works out as well.
Yeah,
and just an update real quick. Will Fuller served 5 of his 6-game suspension last year. So he's only out for 1 game in 2021.
Okay. Oh, wow. So, the Dolphins are going to be fully loaded this coming season. Hey, fellas, guess what else going to be fully loaded?
What's going on? What, Eddy Kool? What?
Who? I'm glad y'all asked. It's time once again for our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices. And with that being said, hey, yo, Button, hit it.
And now, our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices.
Once again, thank you to the wonderful and ever so lovely Miss Button for introducing our favorite portion of the show. You heard the lady, the choices of the voices section of the show, where we ask the listeners the questions, and then they give us the answers, and we talk about it in short form. We pick at you, but it's all in good fun, because you know what? If it wasn't for the choices of the voices, then we would have no reason to do the show, because it's our favorite portion of the show. With that being said, Scottie D, what's the question for this week's choices of the voices?
All right. On the topic of March Madness, I asked, what March Madness star, college basketball star from years past, were you most disappointed in when it came to their NBA career? Guys, we had really a lot of really good answers. A lot of the ones that were on my mind when I created this question came up from you guys out there listening and following us on Facebook. So, Eddy Kool, fire these off, man. These are good answers we got here.
All right, they are very good answers. And as always, we appreciate our listeners now more than ever. All right, leading off is terrible Pete Talansky, and he says, I can't wait for baseball season questions to start. Well, Pete, if you listen to the podcast, stay tuned. And we talked a little bit about baseball, so stay tuned or just rewind it and listen again. All right, he said, I can't wait for baseball season questions to start. I've never been much of a basketball fan, so I haven't been answering these questions. But I have to say Christian Laettner may be the most disappointing, simply because of all the hype leading up to his poor NBA career, with the game-winning shot in the NCAA tournament to him being the only college player on the 1992 Dream Team. It seems like he should have done more. See, a lot of people don't remember that Christian Laettner was on the Dream Team that year.
He was the college representation on that team. So, yeah. I absolutely agree. As much as I despise Christian Laettner, he was like, there was so much hype behind him. Again, that 92 Dream Team, to be selected, that is basically, you are the best college basketball player at that time to represent your country. And then I couldn't even tell you anything about his NBA career, if there anything really.
It was very average to below average, which makes this actually a pretty good answer, because if he wasn't hyped, his career would have just been another okay career. But that's actually a great point that Pete made. That he was like the most decorated college player coming into the league, almost, one of the most decorated of all time coming in, at least in the modern era of the, when they started the field of 64. He was there every year in the Final Four with Duke. So yeah, that's a good answer, Pete. I like that answer.
Yep, Pete, good one. Terrible Pete Talansky. All right, we got Rodney Bellamy. He says everyone gonna hate on the Dukies, I guess. He said, for a more recent player, how about Sindarius Thornwell of South Carolina? Takes the nation by storm by making the Final Four a few years ago, and haven't really heard anything else from Mr. Thornwell. Let's see what happened with Sindarius. He got drafted by the Clippers, and then he got let go, and then he got and then some. He signed with somebody in the league. I just can't remember who it was, but Sindarius Thornwell has a job, but he is very, very underwhelming. Yeah, very, very.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you where he's at.
Yeah, he is. Number 0, Sindarius Thornwell.
But to Rodney's point, everyone's hating on the Dukies. They have had a history of really talented players in college not do much in the pros. Whereas the big rival North Carolina has a list pretty long of good NBA players, starting with the very top of the NBA list, if you know what I mean. So,
yeah, one of the blue bloods in all of college basketball. Moving right along, we got Clint Ayers. What's going on, Clint? He said Ed Cota. Wow. He said maybe the best point guard in UNC history. Look up the stat. Or best yet, most fun to watch. And he said Kenny, I guess he's talking about Kenny Smith, was great as well, too. Yes, Ed Cota.
I've forgotten all about Ed Cota. I forgot about him.
Yeah, Ed Cota. B-Live, you remember Ed Cota?
I remember the name. I don't remember. Yeah, I got nothing besides. I remember the name, but that's about as much as I can even dive into.
Wasn't he there with Rasheed Wallace back at that era? I mean, I think he was with that team.
Might have been either that
or is he with Carter and Jameson? He might have been with that crew.
I think it was with Carter and Jameson, if I'm not mistaken.
Either way, see, we've forgotten him because he never did anything in the NBA. So a perfect answer.
Yeah. We don't know who the hell he played with before, during, and after. We don't know where he went in his NBA career. Moving right along, we got Jim Hansen. He said Robert Tractor Trailer, and Trey Burke is another good one for Michigan. So 2 Michigan boys. Tractor Trailer, rest in peace. He had a decent career, and I don't know where the hell Trey Burke is. Anybody know where he is? Anybody?
Nope.
I'm trying my best right now on the Wikipedia this real quick and Google this real quick. I got a couple of updates right now.
Okay.
Sindarius Thornwell just recently, on March 10th, he signed with the Pelicans to a 10-day contract.
Well, it's already over.
That means he's been in the CBA pretty much. What he's been
right.
doing.
And Ed Cota, he was not drafted. He went undrafted and then ended up being drafted by the Gary Steelheads of the Minor League Continental Basketball Association.
What's the letter abbreviation for that? MLCBA?
I don't know. I've never heard of it. And then he according to Wikipedia, had a successful basketball career in Europe. Which
there's always that.
Always, can't go wrong with money. Hey, that Euro money is something different.
Well, that consisted of 8 years, but I guess it was successful.
Yeah. To an extent, it is, and it was. Moving right along, we got Mike Davis. He said, it has to be DeJuan Blair for me. I'm a Pitt guy, but I thought for sure he was going to do big things. I remember they had Big Yella, Gary McGee, and DeJuan Blair. Scottie D, I know you remember DeJuan Blair, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm a big Pitt fan, so of course. But I didn't think. See, I wasn't expecting DeJuan Blair to have a great career because I thought he was just a good, solid player, and I thought that's what he was in the NBA too. I mean, he had a couple good years with San Antonio, and I forget where else he ended up. He moved to a few different teams, but DeJuan Blair to me wasn't he was never a player of the year candidate in college basketball. He's very, very good, and he actually had the longest arms of anyone of all time, wide body, long arm, played very well. But, he was a rebound guy, defensive guy. I thought he had an okay career. I just don't think the hype was there for that one, but all right. DeJuan Blair makes the show.
If I'm not mistaken,
else we got?
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I think he won a championship with San Antonio while he was there.
I think he may have.
I may or may not be. Might throw that in the Google machine and check that out. But in the meantime, we got a friend to the show, JR. He said Raymond Felton.
Good one.
Yep. Luol Deng. Jerivas Vasquez from the University of Maryland. Julius Hodge from the North Carolina State Wolfpack. Sean May and Sheldon Williams.
All solid players.
Yeah. Raymond Felton was serviceable.
He was okay. Yeah, he wasn't bad.
He was okay. Luol Deng had a few good years in Chicago. I don't know where the hell Jerivas Vasquez with. Julius Hodge, Sean May, Shelton Williams was around for a cup of coffee, but he didn't last much longer. He did. They used to call him the was it the mayor or something? He had a nickname when he was in college, but that didn't transition over to the NBA, as we can see. Because I don't even remember. I don't even know. I think he went to New Jersey. I don't even know where the hell he went. All right, moving right along. We got the Hall of Famer himself, Uncle Max. He said, I think there were great exceptions of Charlie Ward coming into the league. I'm sorry, 3, 2, 1. We'll do it again. I think there were great expectations of Charlie Ward coming to the league. He did have a 10-year career, but he was a mediocre player. Heisman winning quarterback, Charlie Ward.
Yeah. That's why I kind of dispute this one, because he wasn't hyped to be a great basketball player. I thought he was a better NBA player than I was expecting him to be. I mean, he was good with that Knicks team. He was on there with Patrick Ewing and Starks and Mason, Oakley. He was a pretty nice point guard, but, you know, I think he would have been a bigger bust if he had gone to the NFL and failed, because, you know, that style that he was playing back then would translate better today, but wasn't very suited to the pro game back there. So I thought Charlie Ward had a nice 10-year career.
True. Got that. All right, we got Joe Gafkin. He said, he got some good ones here. He said Adam Morrison, Ed O'Bannon, Mateen Cleaves, Trajan Langdon, John Wallace of Syracuse, Eric Montross, who played for the Celtics, comes to mind. He said he hates to do this, but he got to throw his guy Juan Dixon in there too. He gave us quite a few.
Yeah, and some that were on my radar when I made this question. Adam Morrison, I'll never forget sitting there crying on the floor for Gonzaga, and the game wasn't over. That made me sick, and I just told you all you were ever going to need to know about that little pencil mustache freak show. And Ed O'Bannon, I thought, was going to be really a good pro, but he from UCLA. I mean, him and his brother were running it in the early 90s. I think they won the championship. I want to say 95.
Yep, 95. Yep, that was a good. That's a good game.
Really good team. And I thought Ed O'Bannon was going to turn out to be a better NBA player, and he just didn't. And Mateen Cleaves, I think, was a really good college point guard, but just maybe undersized for the NBA. I don't know, but he led Michigan State to a championship, and he'll always have a free tab up there in Michigan.
Yeah, he was him and was it Morris Peterson, and there was a few other guys. He's called them the Flintstones.
Yeah,
because they were from Flint, Michigan. Trajan Langdon, he was known as a sharp shooting 3-point specialist. His nickname was the Alaskan Assassin. I think he played for Cleveland, and then he disappeared. John Wallace, I don't remember where he went after that.
No.
Eric Montross and that flat top of his.
Had a couple years.
Yeah, in Boston.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know where Juan Dixon went. Be like, what do you think about the Joe's picks?
Adam Morrison, yeah.
He makes me sick.
Tell us how you really feel, Scottie.
Yeah, right.
He makes me sick. He made me sick. Crying while the game is being still played. The game wasn't over, and it was only down like by a point or 2 points. Game wasn't over, and he's crying. Come on. Makes me sick.
I promise you will be okay.
I'm okay. That was a long time ago. but he made me sick when it happened.
I believe it. But yeah, definitely some good names up here. You know, we always like to focus on one, but they just start throwing a whole bunch of them. You know, Joey Buckets. We always appreciate you.
We do.
Yeah, that's a good list. That's a good list.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, absolutely.
There were a couple other, Eddie. I don't know if you saw that glossed over earlier on, up a little bit higher there. Clay Hofstetler, did you see his?
No. What did he say?
Jimmer Fredette.
Oh man, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
Jimmer got hot in the tournament. That's where he made his name.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Did I miss it? Did I miss any more, Scottie D?
Yeah, Matty Ice went with Danny Ferry, who was another really good pick. He was like the golden boy of Duke, and then he got drafted by the Clippers and didn't pan out too well. And then Frank Norris picked Greg Oden. Clay actually also mentioned Greg Oden as well. And Greg Oden's another guy that was on my mind when I made that one, but that dude just was never, ever healthy. Never. He probably got injured playing pickup basketball or shooting free throws last week if he tried. Who
More like getting out of bed.
Who knows what could have been with that guy? He was injured coming into college, I think, and just was always hurt. Yeah.
Be probably just get hurt just getting out of bed his doggone self.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it for the choices of the voices. But before we go, we want to give a shout out to Terrible Pete Talansky, Rodney Bellamy, Clint Ayers, Jim Hansen, Matty Ice, Mike Davis, JR, Uncle Max, Joe Gaffigan. Did I miss anybody, Scottie D?
Clay, Clint, Rodney, you got them all. I think you got everybody.
Yep. Clay,
Frank,
Clint, Rodney,
thank you.
Frank,
all
everybody.
You guys, thank you.
That's right. All of y'all, thank you. All right, Scottie D, who'd you pick?
A couple that I was thinking more injury wise was Derrick Rose and Penny Hardaway, just because they seemed to be so exceptional, but they were kind of cut short by injuries. Corliss Williamson was a guy from Arkansas that was supposed to be pretty big coming in. But I'm going to tell you one that's actually Derek Coleman in 1990 looked like a guy that was going to be really suited for the NBA coming out of Syracuse. He looked really, really good. And I don't think he ever got past the second round of the play. I think he only made it to the second round of the playoffs once with the Nets. And then going back to that Clippers thing with Danny Ferry, they also drafted Danny Manning, who carried Kansas on his back to a national championship. And then, they had those two, and they had Charles Smith from Pitt. It looked like the Clippers were starting to collect talent in the late 80s. That team never panned out. So Danny Manning and Derek Coleman, both guys I thought were – both of those I really, really thought were like blue chip NBA players that didn't pan out. How about you, Be Live? Sorry.
Yeah, you're going to pay for that later.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
But, yeah. This one was relatively easy for me because it literally just one person really jumped off the page. Nobody mentioned him, which actually surprised me. But again, like I've said before, I've followed a lot of North Carolina basketball. And they won the national championship in 2004, 2005. I don't know if y'all remember that lineup that had the likes of Raymond Felton, Sean May, Rashad McCants. But the one person and it blew my mind when it happened, but the person that got drafted higher than all of them wasn't even the starter. He was the sixth man on the team and got drafted higher. He only played 1 year. And my biggest disappointment, Marvin Williams. There was so much hype behind a guy that came off the bench. He wasn't good enough to start on that team.
You're right. He went high. Didn't he go? He was like fifth
number
overall
two.
Or something.
He
He was
went
two
second.
overall.
He was second overall,
Wow.
and I was like, "What?
Who picked him?
The
Bucks?
Atlanta Hawks.
The Hawks. Yes, that's right.
The Atlanta Hawks.
Everyone thought that was a home run pick at the time because he was going to be so close to home.
And I remember that, and I was like, okay, the Hawks got the number 2 pick, and the Atlanta Hawks select Marvin Williams. I'm like, why and for what? What are you doing? What are we doing here?
Yes.
Do any of y'all remember anything he's done in the NBA?
Oh, he was out quick, right? Only 2-3 years, I think.
What is collective paycheck?
Watch this. Surprisingly enough, you might consider it an actual good career because he retired last year.
No.
Wow.
Where's he been?
Let's go through it. He was with the Atlanta Hawks from 2005 to 2012.
Okay.
He was with the Utah. Yeah.
That long?
He was with the Utah Jazz from 2012 to 2014. And then he was with the Charlotte Hornets from 2014 to 2020.
I remember that.
He must have been a really good practice player and a really nice guy.
He had to be.
And then the Hornets waived him in February of 2020. And then he signed with the Milwaukee Bucks last year in February. And then once the Bucks got eliminated, he decided to retire.
I legit don't remember ever seeing him on the floor after his rookie year, ever.
Hey,
good for him though. He got paid a long time.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, Jimmer's not in the league anymore. He
No.
came way after him.
Yeah.
But that was the first person I could think of. It was just like,
That's
dude,
an excellent call.
it's just so much hype. But he made a 15-year career in the NBA, and we don't remember him being on the floor for any of it.
And he did this as a coming off the bench at the boy. Man, look here.
But he was nasty that year in North Carolina. He was.
Yeah.
He averaged 12 points coming off the bench. He was Montrezl Harrell for
Okay.
So
gotcha.
you know what I'm saying? He was the best sixth man in the country, but without question. That lineup was loaded. But then again, like I said, yeah, but again, think of that lineup. Do you remember Sean May really doing anything in the NBA?
I don't even remember. Did he get drafted, or what the hell happened? He went overseas, didn't he?
Sean May got drafted first round by the Bobcats.
Oh, yes, that is right. You're right. Mm-hmm.
And they actually went back-to-back North Carolina picks because Raymond Felton went number 5 to the Bobcats. Sean May went number 13 to the Bobcats.
Wow.
Yeah.
Felton didn't have a terrible career, though.
No,
and I saw him play live. That dude was fast with the basketball, man.
Oh, yeah.
He was fast.
Yep. Latter South Carolina's own Raymond Felton.
Who you got, Eddy Kool?
Who do I have? Let's see. It's a gentleman on the picture that you posted, Scottie D. None other than the one, the only, the 7-foot wonder himself, Greg Oden, Mr. Bad Knees, Mr. I Can't Stay Healthy. You guys remember, I forgot which year it was, but during the NCAA tournament, it was like him and Mike Conley and a very loaded Ohio State basketball team. And they ran through everybody. They ran through their conference like it was nobody's business. And then come tournament time, it's like, hey, we're doing pretty good, doing pretty fine. And they lost. Didn't they play for the national championship that year, if I'm not mistaken?
I think they lost to Florida when Florida won back-to-back.
Yes, they did. Yep, in a losing effort to Florida. So with that being said, it was like, okay, maybe Greg Oden's going to be a monster. He primed himself in good position to be like an all-time great. And then that turned out not that good because Portland, they decided to pick him first overall in the 2007 draft.
Oh, and who went 2 and 3?
Who did go 2 and 3?
Kevin Durant was right after him. I think Kevin Durant was 2. Oh,
what is this? Michael Jordan and Sam Bowie all over again?
Exactly.
Oh man, the Trailblazers can't get out their own way you did it again, Portland. You got it right with Dame Dollar, but before that has been a little shaky. So, all right. So here we go. Greg Oden, he did play from 06 to 07 at Ohio State. He got drafted first overall by the Blazers in 2007. His playing career was from 2007 to 2016. In the NBA, he spent 2007 to 2012 with the Portland Trail Blazers, and then the 13-14 season with the Miami Heat. And then guess what he did? He went over
Europe too.
I think he went to China, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
In 2015 to 2016, he played for the Jiangsu Dragons. And his career statistics in the NBA, he scored 840 points, which is 8 points per game, right at. He had 656 rebounds, and that is 6.2 rebounds a game. And he had a grand total of 130 blocks, which is a block and a quarter a game. So, yeah, so Greg Oden looked like he was going to be something special, but bad knees and life, and it just, yeah. So Greg Oden, that's my pick for the choices of the voices. And with that being said, Scottie D, what's the question for next week's choices of the voices?
All right, this one's not going to be as creative, but we're going to transition to baseball. So here you go, Pete. Very simply, you guys heard us talking baseball earlier. Who do you think is going to win the World Series this year? Very simple prediction pick for Choice of the Voice next week. Who is your World Series prediction? That's it.
All right. Who do we think going to win the World Series? And who do our listeners and our viewers, we got to wait till our viewers, guys. We got to wait till them again. Who do they think are going to win the World Series? And that's it for another edition of the Choices of the Voices. Come back next week where we'll pick more fun at you and answer more questions, because you know what? It's all for you, and we appreciate you a great deal. Choices of the Voices. Check us out next week.
Okay, boys, let's bring it home with a round of pepper.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Pikachus, rats, and monkeys, you heard the woman. We're going to take it home with a round of pepper. You know how we do it. 3 topics, rapid fire style, kind of, sort of, not really. We live to enlighten and educate. And we're going to pick at you, too, just a little bit. Well, actually, we're going to pick at each other. But with that being said, I'll go first. My first pepper point goes out to the University of Tennessee Lady Volunteers, because in this day in history, back in 1997, the Volunteers defeated Old Dominion University 68-59 to win the women's national championship for that year. At the time, it was Tennessee's 5th national championship. I'm gonna throw some names at you, fellas, that you might be familiar with. On the Tennessee team, it included Shamiqua Holesclaw. All right.
Heard of her?
Yes. Tamika Catchings.
Oh, yeah.
Kelly Jolly, who is also the current head coach of the Lady Volunteers, and they were coached by Pat Summitt. May she rest in peace. On the Old Dominion side of things, there was a player by the name of Tisha Pinachero. I don't know if you remember her. She played for the Sacramento Monarchs in the WNBA, and she was pretty good. So, this day in history, Tennessee wins their 5th national title. Over to you, Scottie D.
All right. So Billy Horschel won the match play championship over Scotty Scheffler this past week in the PGA. I didn't watch it. I was watching the basketball tournament. I did not watch the golf tournament. Congratulations to Billy Horschel. Next week is the Valero Texas Open, the final stop before a tradition unlike any other, the Masters on CBS. Coming up, Dustin Johnson, defending champion, 2 weeks. The Masters begins on April 8th. Can't wait for that one. Be live. Over to you.
Yes, sir. CCU, Teal Nation stand up. Dustin Johnson, hope he repeats. But now, Scotty, I'm going to go ahead and let you know this real quick. I told you earlier that you're going to pay for you just being you. So let me go ahead. Let's go ahead and get into it. My first pepper point. Well, how the tides have turned when it comes to the Los Angeles Lakers. They've been struggling a little bit. I believe they're on a 2-game win streak right now. So they're doing all right without LeBron James and Anthony
Andre
Davis.
Drummond.
Yeah, but whatever. We'll get to him. We'll get back to him in just a second. But this past Thursday, that the Lakers allowed 2 of their former players to come back into the Staples Center, grab their championship rings, and then proceed to beat up on the LeBron-less Lakers. And those 2 are the likes of Dwight Howard and Danny Green. And Danny Green lit him up for 28 points, just product of the University of North Carolina. He didn't do much to win that title anyway.
That'll be the last 28 he'll have this year, probably.
His best 28.
By far the streakiest player in basketball history. But there was another thing that just came to mind, though, was the fact that Dwight Howard was ejected for technical fouls, a little toss-up between him and Montrezl Harrell, and his own coach proceeded to call him a clown for his antics. You already have 1 technical foul. Why is you still tussling with somebody else? You got to do better. Dwight Howard, do better. Lakers,
see you in the finals.
Better. Yeah, okay. I still go with the Clippers just because I'm hating. Eddy Kool, the ball.
Yeah, the Lakers are currently in 4th place in the Western Conference. But once Goat James and Baby Goat AD get back and they got Andre Drummond, it's going to be an interesting thing to see with about, a handful of games left before we start to play in. But that's neither here nor there. Now, this second pepper point, it's a good one. Kids, I'm going to tell you something. When you got a hot mic, don't be stupid. All right, just don't say anything just to get you in trouble or potentially get you fired. Just like NHL referee Tim Peel did. He got fired because he was saying some stuff that that could mess up the integrity of the game, and the NHL said, look, man, we can't have you doing what you're doing, so you got to get your ass up out of here. I'm gonna tell you what he did. All right, so last Wednesday night we had the Nashville Predators versus the Detroit Red Wings. Shortly after, the Nashville forward Victor Arvidsson was whistled for a tripping penalty on Detroit defenseman John Merrill. A ringside TV microphone picked up an official saying, it wasn't much, but I wanted to get a effing penalty against Nashville early. So you betting on games, Tim Peel? Are you being biased, Tim Peel? Where you're supposed to be unbiased? Matter of fact, let me switch to camera view because I want everybody to see the reaction on my sports bros. Like Tim Peel. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, you know, we live in a society. There's always a hot mic. So therefore, you must be careful of what you say and what you do. I'm not saying be scared. I'm not saying be a punk or be quiet everything. But if you know good and damn well that there's a possibility that there might be a live mic, as you can see, yep, you got to cover it up. Yep, see, you got to cover it up. See, Tim Peel, I'm thinking I don't know where you come from or your upbringing, somehow, some way, the art of being slick slipped, because apparently you were slick enough to cover up the mic. He got fired, and I think Scottie D, from what you told me earlier, he was going to retire in April anyway.
Yeah, he was at the end of his career, I guess.
I guess he said, the hell with it. What are they going to do to me? Fire me. I'm already fired. I guess he channeled his Rick.
I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out. I'm done. You can have this. This sucks. Ain't no people in the crowd. Just don't mess with my pension. But Tim Peel, penalty box, hashtag do better. Over to you, Be Live.
I'll let Scottie D step in real quick.
We're going to let Scottie step in? Okay,
yeah,
Scottie.
Step in.
Over to you, Scottie D. I'm sorry. Over to you, Scottie D.
Okay, now that you mentioned the NHL, I'm going to stick on that topic. And I have something going on right now as we are recording at this moment that's very troubling to me. Well, actually, Houston, 3-point lead, 2.5 to go against Oregon State. But back to the NHL. The Buffalo Sabres have lost 17 NHL games in a row, 2 of those being in overtime. They recently traded Eric Stahl to the Habs. He had 0 goals in his last 23 games. Things have been not going too well for the Sabres. The record for the longest streak in hockey history, 18 games, one away. You are 18 games, and that was in 2003 and 4. The Pittsburgh Penguins. And as I'm speaking, the Sabres hold a 3-1 lead in the third period over the Philadelphia Flyers. Come on, Buffalo, you can do it. You can do it. 2 more. You're 2 away from making history. Come on, Sabres. Come on, Flyers. Let's go. Be Live, over to you.
Oh, my goodness.
58-56.
The Penguins lost 18 games in a row?
They did in 2003 and 2004. They did.
Oh, they were bad back then. They were bad.
Well,
pre-Crosby.
So, because I figured on my pepper points today, I'm going to feature the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, this date in NBA history, not really, it's actually just, but this is how the story led off, and that's what I looked up.
Gimmick infringement. No, go ahead. I'm joking.
But everybody's now talking about the New Jersey Nets, the Brooklyn Nets, I'm sorry. And all these players that were all-stars, and now they all come together to try to win a championship and everything. all these all-stars and all this crazy stuff. And one thing that came to mind was when back in the day, when Chris Paul was about to be traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. And then at the time, Commissioner David Stern vetoed the trade. Not today. But it is now noted. It is noted. I did a little research. I don't understand why this never even made any headway. But the commissioner actually did not veto the trade.
Who did it?
At the time, the New Orleans Pelicans were majority owned by the NBA.
Oh.
So David Stern was acting as the general manager of the team and did not want to make the trade.
That is right.
So they couldn't pull it together, put that super team of Kobe and Chris Paul, but now the Brooklyn Nets have just every former all-star known to man. What is going on in the world today? Oh, and I would like to mention with the Nets that as soon as they get Blake Griffin, he finds his hops again and gets an alley-oop, which is just miraculously. Dude ain't dunked in forever.
He jumped over a car as soon as he gets the towel.
Yep.
With that being said, Eddy Kool, the ball.
You know what? I do remember that when the Pelicans were owned. Oh yeah, it all makes sense. But David Stern still had a hand in him not going there. So yeah, he's still guilty by association. All right, here we go. Third and final pepper point. Happy birthday to you, to Richard Sherman. LOB. Yeah, you remember him. Happy birthday to former Seattle Seahawks cornerback and also former San Francisco 49er cornerback, Richard Sherman, because he was born on this day back in 1989. One of the best to ever do it. Somebody signed this man. He still got some good years left. His Achilles ain't blowed up too bad. If he can't get it done at corner, just put him at safety. But the Stanford graduate is very smart. So football may not be his end game. It may be something for him to do because he loves it and to make the money, but he's a very smart man. So happy birthday to Richard Sherman, and give Sherm a job. And don't try him with no sorry receiver like Crabtree. Every time you do it, this is what you're going to get. LOB. Over to you, Scottie D.
He also had a run-in with that windbag Skip Bayless years ago when he was still at the Four Letter Network. They didn't like each other very much. Anyway, on Saturday, the 5 main fights that were on the UFC pay-per-view card, 4 of them ended with a knockout. It was a really good card. The Sugar Show returned with a knockout. Sean O'Malley, who last year hurt his ankle. But other than the main event, the biggest one of the night was Tyron Woodley, the former welterweight champion, who lost his 4th consecutive fight. This one was a nasty KO to Vicente Luque in the first round. Woodley has looked terrible for 4 straight fights. He hasn't won a round in any of those fights. He's 38 years old. Retire, please. I don't like watching these fighters get to that certain age and all of a sudden they can't win anymore and they don't even seem competitive anymore. And Woodley has gotten to that point. In November of 2013, he KO'd Josh Koscheck and he looked like an unstoppable beast. And I loved it because I didn't like Koscheck. And then he won the title with a KO over Robbie Lawler in 2016. But it's time to hang it up. We saw this happen to Anderson Silva. We saw this happen to Junior Dos Santos. In boxing, we saw it happen to Roy Jones Jr., and it's not fun when you watch someone who seemingly is indestructible suddenly can't even win a round. Tyron Woodley, please don't fight anymore. Jon Jones, please fight Francis Ngannou. And Buffalo Sabres, you gave up another goal. It's 3-2. Please don't win this game. Come on, Flyers. NHL history. Sabres. 2 games away. Adam Morrison, quit crying. Over to you guys. Be live.
Adam Morrison, quit crying. He's still on that.
Wow. Well, Richard Sherman has been pursuing his ownership of the Glacier Boys in Fan Control Football League. So
we're still talking about the Glacier Boys. The Glacier Boys. Didn't the Glacier Boys have a hit song right after Backstreet Boys?
I have no idea. But what I do have an idea of is that Facebook, social media sites or whatever, y'all gonna stop with the disrespect. Y'all gonna stop this because everybody's talking about the Brooklyn Nets and all these all-stars. But the biggest thing that everybody's talking about is that all these players are coming together to beat a 36-year-old man in the likes of LeBron James. So what y'all not gonna do, y'all not gonna disrespect former All-Star Marc Gasol. You're not gonna disrespect former Sixth Man of the Year Montrezl Harrell. What you're not gonna do is disrespect former All-Star Andre Drummond. Or did he? Was he didn't get voted All-Star this year, did he?
No, not this year. No,
not this year. But yeah, what you're not gonna do is disrespect Markieff Morris. What you're not gonna do is disrespect Dennis Schroeder. But above all, you're not going to sit here and disrespect Anthony Davis. They're not building this team to beat LeBron. They're building this team to beat everybody on the Lakers. They're building this team to beat everybody on the 76ers. They're putting this team together to beat everybody on the Boston Celtics. They're putting this team together to beat everybody on the Clippers. Stop. Just stop. Cut it out. LeBron this, LeBron that. Get off this man's nether region. I'm just gonna say it like that. Get off of it. Because no, LeBron James is not the only player on the team. Stop it. Cut it out.
He's good though.
Yeah, he is.
He's good. But yeah. Everybody say, oh man, we're putting this team together to beat LeBron James. No. They're putting this team together to beat LeBron James and Anthony Davis and Montrezl Harrell. Come on, man. Cut it out. I'm just Dennis Schroeder, Kyle Kuzma.
Did you know that Adam Morrison played for the Lakers at one point?
He did. Didn't he get a haircut?
Yeah, and it made him cry, so they had to cut it.
Oh man. But yeah, just cut it out. And you know what? I'm gonna say this. For one particular LeBron freaking lover staying out there, Tim Livingston, cut it all the way out. Oh. If you post one more thing on and I gotta look at it on my Facebook feed about you. Oh boy, I almost said some nasty things on our podcast. I do apologize, but yeah, cut it out. Stop it. For every LeBron fan out there, every Laker fan out there, all of y'all, cut it out. There is one true GOAT when it comes to basketball, and there's many GOATs from many different eras that did their thing, different eras, different balls. But there's one true GOAT, and it's Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Stop it. Cut it out. Do better. And I'm out.
I think Adam Morrison was the GOAT of crying players.
Scottie D, I'm going to take this somehow, somewhere, and get a title for the podcast. Crying Ghost. Oh, there it is. Crying Ghost. Yep, you got the title of the dog.
Adam Morrison was playing for the Lakers, and he still had one of those little mustaches that 8th graders grow. That like is all like soft and pencily.
Peach fuzz. It's called peach fuzz.
Peach fuzz. That's what it was. Yeah.
There we go. It is called peach fuzz. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for another round of pepper, and that's it for another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. Thank you for listening and thank you for watching. So we're about to get up out of here, watch a little bit of wrestling, watch a little bit of basketball, and watch sports, and more sports. With that being said, Scottie D, where can the people find you?
I'm tweeting, baby. I'm tweeting. UFC night. I tweet. You can find me on Twitter and on Facebook. Yeah, no good on the tweeter.
Yeah, we they can find you on Twitter, Scott. They can
On
find you on
Twitter.
Twitter.
On Twitter. Boy, I tell you what.
Hey,
Scotty,
sign me up on that one of them that Twitter's accounts out.
Scotty D, you're definitely showing your age.
I'm tweeting, baby. I'm tweeting like all the kids.
Let me get one of them Twitchstagram accounts. Oh, what? Be live. Go ahead, be live.
Once again, just to help the money man Scotty D out, because he says he tweets, but he doesn't give anybody what his handle is. Money Donnelly.
Yes.
Money Donnelly. You can find him there. And I actually follow Money Donnelly.
Me too.
On the Twitter machine. And I do like his UFC highlights. I wasn't able to watch it, but I was definitely following him on Twitter. Now, if we can get him on our official Sports Bros podcast Twitter, I mean, that would be also interesting, but that might be too technologically advanced for him. So we're just going to let him run with Money Donnelly, and we'll retweet. We're going to
retweet what he says.
Retweet on the Sports Bros podcast. And Twitter is Sports Bros podcast, or is it Sports Bros PCast? Which one?
Sports Bros PCast. That's it.
Sports Bros PCast on Twitter. Sports Bros podcast on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. This be your boy B Live. No I at the end. So THSBEYABOYBLIV to the E. The reason why I had to take the I out because it was too long, but yay, that's what it is. And those other social media things, check out our YouTube channel, Sports Bros Podcast. We are official. You can Google us. Well, hey, just look us up. You can find where we at. Yes, sir.
Yep, the Sports Bros Podcast. And that leaves me, Eddy Kool, the HOC up in this thing. And you can check me at all the aforementioned Sports Bros Podcast social media platforms. You can also check me out on Instagram, which is Cool Season, all one word. And if you're still in the Snapchat game, you can catch me out there at Super Cool 5000. What else? Oh, I'm on Twitter as well, too, at The Real Eddy Kool. And I'll be making my Sports Me app return pretty soon this week as well, too. You can check me out on there also as well, too, at SportBro19. All right, fellas, we got any final words before we get the hell up out of here and watch wrestling, eat chicken, and talk a little bit of smack?
That's all I got. I've given you all I have for the week.
Stop crying.
Stop crying. Hopefully Gonzaga wins, because then I can win and Adam Morrison won't cry.
No, he gonna cry. He gonna cry. I guarantee he.
Tears of joy.
Yeah, tears of joy. All right.
Oh, I hope he doesn't listen to this show. It was so long ago. I'm still killing him for it. All these years later.
Hey, look, as long as there's pictures floating around with him crying, it's gonna happen. Look at the Jordan crying meme. Think about it. There's a whole generation of kids. They won't know Michael Jordan basketball player. No. They'll know Michael Jordan as the crying meme. Ain't that something?
Yeah.
All right. We get up out of here, fellas. And with that being said, and in closing, do something nice for yourself. And if you can, do something nice for someone else. They'll greatly appreciate it now more than ever. Continue to wear a mask, stay safe, and just be nice to each other. It's not that hard to do. Open up a door for an old lady. Just do some nice stuff. And if they don't tell you thank them, just tell them you're welcome. And with that being said, it's been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. Ain't this where we start doing this whole leaving thing and stuff like that?
Yes, sir.
And we're out.